Hello everyone, this is the Disney Dude here, coming at you from the Magic Kingdom. I got a request to do a video about Pirates of the Caribbean. I was going to do a video about the Hall of Presidents, but then I got this request to do a video about Pirates of the Caribbean. So I think next week I'm gonna do my my Hall of Presidents video. But this week will be all about the will be all about Pirates of the Caribbean. Of course, starting at Disneyland and then coming here to Florida. So let's walk around now. I will tell you, it is actually a really nice day here. It's overcast. It's not hot. It's about I think it's about in the mid 80s, which is fantastic. Again, it's not hot. It's not humid, so that's great. I think it might have rained earlier in the morning, so that's probably why it's not so hot. Have my hat on, but I mean, I really don't even need it, but it is what it is, but it's always nice to walk around the parks this time when it's not so hot, because then you're not dying throughout the day. So now we're entering Adventureland here. So a little bit of backstory here before I get into Florida's version of the attraction. So Walt Disney wanted to make a kind of a walkthrough museum of sorts, which is what the first Pirates idea was, and then that kind of morphed into a ride. So they decided to build a boat ride, and they had a lot of success with the boat rides at Disneyland because of the just the amount of guests that they could churn out an hour. So Walt Disney found out that after It's a Small World made its debut at the World's Fair in 1964, and then when he brought the attraction home to Disneyland, he found out that you could churn out a lot of guests per hour by having a boat ride. So having a boat ride that holds a lot of people, and just the amount of guests per hour is amazing. I don't have the numbers in front of me, unfortunately, anyway, so the decision was made to make a boat ride, and so that was the decision they had made for that ride. And then as the idea for Pirates of the Caribbean continued to grow, they soon realized that there was not enough space in the park to hold the ride. They had no space to house this attraction. So Walt Disney had to figure out a way to fit this ride in. So what ended up happening was that their waterfalls actually in Disneyland actually serve a purpose. They take you underground because because of the spatial constraints because of the spatial constraints at Disneyland, there was no space for the show building. They had to do it underground. So that decision was made, and then so the ride was in development. Walt Disney was instrumental in building the ride, and then unfortunately something happened. As with the case of a lot of these rides that I'm going to go over, Walt Disney passed away on December 15th of 1966, and he never got to see the finished product. So you know, this was really the first time when the Imagineers had to build something without Walt Disney's approval on anything, or or for him to see what they were doing. That was really the first time that they had to again build an attraction that Walt approved but never got to see in his life. So they get the ride open. It opens in 1967. I don't offhand remember the date. I'm sorry. If I don't print things out, I don't remember the dates, but I remember the years, but the specific dates I can't remember. So I apologize. But so in 1967, Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean opens. Obviously, it's a very popular attraction. And then when Walt Disney World was being built here in Florida, there was a surprising decision was made. A surprising decision was made that Pirates of the Caribbean would not be built here in Florida, and the reason for that was that the Imagineers felt that since Florida is already close to the Caribbean, or Caribbean if you want to, either way, since Florida was so close to the Caribbean already, they felt that guests would not want a Pirates of the Caribbean ride, because again, Florida being so close to the Caribbean, they were like, well, guests aren't going to want that. That's going to be silly. Why build something when they can just visit it, So the Magic Kingdom, when it opened on October 1st of 1971, had no Pirates of the Caribbean. This ride, this building, everything was not here. This was not here. So, and then it. But what they hadn't encountered on was the amount of backlash that people had. People, were visiting Walt Disney World, and there was no Pirates of the Caribbean. There was no Pirates of the Caribbean, and people were like, "Hey, where's that Pirates ride? Where's that Pirates ride that's in Disneyland?" So there was, several complaints about it. So Disney decided that they needed to build a version here at the Magic Kingdom. They had to have a version of Pirates of the Caribbean here at Disneyland. The problem with that was we had no space. We had no space to build another attraction. Okay, so they had room to build the ride facade, which we're looking at now, and the queue and the loading area, and a little bit of the ride, but they had no other space. There was no space to build the ride. So what they decided on was that our version in Florida The drop, kind of similar to Disneyland's, but not really. Our drop serves a purpose. So we only have one drop here in Florida. California has two drops, as many of you probably know. There's a big drop, and then there's a little bit of a smaller drop. Here in Florida, there's only one drop. There's only one drop, and then you are basically underneath the Walt Disney World Railroad. So the whole time, after you go down the drop, from that point on until you exit and come back up the ramp, you are underneath the Walt Disney World Railroad. You're not completely underground, but you are a little bit underground because you had to get underneath the Walt Disney World Railroad. So that was the case here in Florida. That's how they solved the problem. Because otherwise there was no space to build a ride. Because literally right behind Pirates of the Caribbean is the Jungle Cruise. So you could not build a show building behind Pirates of the Caribbean. All right, so that's why they built some of the ride below the Walt Disney World Railroad. Now again, you're not going completely underground, but you're going just enough where you're going under the Walt Disney World Railroad, because you had to get because the ride is built past the berm of the Magic Kingdom. So facing this way, so the Walt Disney World Railroad, well, not right now because of the construction that's going on, but in normal times, the Walt Disney World Railroad travels behind these trees here, and it goes through Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and then to the load and unload station. So literally right behind these trees is some of the show building for Pirates of the Caribbean, and then they had to build the rest of the show building behind the railroad tracks. So because obviously they had to get people they had to get them into the ride. So that's why that's the reason for our drops, for our drop. Now obviously we have only one drop here in Florida. California again has two. I don't know. I don't think that I could be wrong about this, but it might be past the berm of Disneyland Park, but I don't offhand know. That I couldn't say. It may be, but I'm not entirely sure since they needed more space. But ours is past the berm of the Magic Kingdom. Ours is past the berm of the Magic Kingdom, because you had to go underneath the railroad tracks, and then of course you have to miss the Jungle Cruise. So that's why that's the reason for our drop. Now, as for the ride, to be honest with you, and I'm not the only one that shares this opinion, our version here in Florida is actually the weakest Pirates of the Caribbean. We have the worst version of Pirates of the Caribbean in any Disney park. All right. Now, obviously, Disneyland's is the best, and then I'm told that Shanghai's is really good, and the others. But The one here in Florida is the worst one. We have the worst version of Pirates of the Caribbean because it is so short. Disneyland's version of Pirates of the Caribbean is about 15 minutes long. Our version here in Florida is 7. So it's about a little less than half of Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean because, again, we didn't have the space. We did not have the space for a ride. They had to figure it out. They had to figure out how they were going to get this ride into the Magic Kingdom, and stop the backlash of people, because people were not happy. They were not happy that there was no Pirates of the Caribbean. So that's why our version is a little bit. That's why our version is, again, it's the week. I mean, if you've never rode Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean, I mean, you don't know what you're missing. Now, if you've ridden Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean, you know exactly what's missing. You know, you're missing half of the ride. You know, the first half of their version of Pirates of the Caribbean starts in the bayou, and you take that leisurely float through the bayou, and then you go underneath, and then you drop down the drop, and that takes you into the first half of the caverns. You go underneath you drop down another little drop, and then you're fully in the cavern part of the ride. You're in the first part of the ride, and the ride sails along, and it's all the pirates are dead. All the pirates are skulls and bones, and it sets you up for what you're going to see, because Disneyland's is really this is why I think Disneyland's is the best version, because it eases you into the ride. It eases you into the whole experience that is Pirates of the Caribbean. So, you know, you start in the bayou, you drop down the drops, then you're in the caverns, and then the caverns is really where the story begins. Because then you see all of these dead pirates around, and you see all of them, all of them that, you know, they've all of them are dead, and then you go through the other, then you go a little bit more, and then there's that wonderful effect of the pirate from the skull transforming into a full-fledged pirate, and then that is where, and then you're at the part with Captain Barbossa. So that is that's where that's where this version, that's where that starts, and then and then of course, us being didn't have enough space, ours starts in the caverns right away. Ours starts in the caverns, so we don't really have time to kind of ease into the ride. We're just kind of we set out on our boat, and then we're already in the caverns. So it's I think ours is not really paced really well. Again, for that reason, Disneyland's is 15 minutes long. Our version is only 7. So it's our version is just not really paced very well because of that fact. But that's why I always say that Disneyland has the best version of Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, this attraction has for a very long time has come under scrutiny for a lot of years. The idea of the pirates kind of selling women it was really not, not really hitting well with the 21st century group. So they kind of had to change that. So the pirates are no longer auctioning off women; they're kind of auctioning off food and chickens and such, which is, which is, I understand why they did it. It's just, it's just sad that we had to lose that. But on the other hand, I understand why. I get it. You can't, us being in the 21st century, we can't have, men auctioning off women. That's just not, that's not a good thing. So they had to, they had to do something. It's just, I wish that they would have come up with something different. I wish the dialogue was better, because it's not a well-written scene. It's not great. So, and then when the film series came out, when the film series of Pirates of the Caribbean came out, Disney was like, "Hey, we can put Jack Sparrow in this ride, and we can bump up attendance in this ride." So the decision was made to include Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow, and why am I blanking on his Captain Barbossa, and those two characters they decided to include in the ride. So that really kind of boosted the attendance. Now, I don't look. Now, obviously, Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow is fantastic. I'm not going to argue that fact. I don't know now, with Pirates of the Caribbean being so kind of gone from the public eye now, with the film series. I don't know if we really need to have Captain Jack Sparrow in the ride anymore. I don't know. I mean, you have to let me know how you guys feel, but I mean, it's, maybe Disney can do something where they can, put it back maybe to somewhat of the original ride experience, but I don't know. I really don't know. No, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you're old like I am, and rode Pirates of the Caribbean before the whole Johnny Depp thing, it was just a different feel. It was a different feel. It was just a different feel than what's here today. But I mean, again, it's fine. I don't have a problem with it. It's Johnny. It's like I said, it's fine. I mean, but I think maybe like 10 or 20 years from now, maybe I think Disney will probably be like, you know what, we can take Captain Jack Sparrow out of the ride, and I don't think really anyone's gonna really notice. I don't know that, again, that's it's kind of hard to say, because again, Walt Disney World was not built for repeat guests. It was built for once-in-a-lifetime vacationers. So the people that watch Pirates of the Caribbean, they expect to see Johnny Depp in the ride. So I don't know. Maybe Walt Disney World will keep Captain Jack Sparrow. I don't know. I mean, he has a meet and greet and everything. So who knows? They may never get rid of they may never get rid of Captain Jack Sparrow. Again, I'm fine with both. It doesn't really matter to me. But I think that the redhead scene needs to be rewritten. It needs to be rewritten. It's just written so bad. It's just not great. It's not a good scene. I think the dialogue needs to be rewritten. It's again, the scene works fine. It works fine. I understand why they had to change it and everything, but they should have written something better. They should have just written something better, because it's not good. It's not good. It's the weakest, to me. It's the weakest scene in the ride. It really is. It's not good. But let me know. Let me know how you feel. But I mean, the whole auction scene, I think, needs to be rewritten at some point, because it's not good. It's not good. If again, I understand you don't want to auction off women. I understand. But Disney, can we please rewrite something? Can we rewrite something that has a little bit more that's a little bit more pizzazz, instead of just not falling flat? That would be great. But and again, having again, with this ride that came under scrutiny for a long time. Not only auctioning off women, but there was a pirate in the ride called the Pooped Pirate that was kind of like kind of had, how can I say this nicely at Disney, kind of having sexual relations with different women. Of course, that had to be changed. So that I think that's fine. That's all right. But the auction scene really needs to be reworked. It really needs to be reworked, because it just falls flat. It just falls flat. There's not that. There's no pizzazz. There's no good feeling. There's just it's like, oh, okay. It's fine. It's all right. Now look, once in a lifetime vacationers, they're not gonna think twice. They're not gonna care. But I assume that if you're watching this, you're like me. You're a Disney fan that loves these parks and that loves Walt Disney and follows his life and career. And so I think that's why. I mean, again, so I don't know. I really don't know. But again, just, let me know how you feel. But I think like maybe 10 years from now, the scene could be rewritten. It could be rewritten, and we could have something better. But again, I don't know. I really don't know. Let me know how you feel. But now to kind of talk about the characters, the original characters. So the characters in the ride were, a lot of different, a lot of different artists and everything worked on this ride. But the most talked name is Marc Davis. Marc Davis is the one that created Pirates of the Caribbean, and he's the one that really made the ride what it is today at Disneyland. Okay, and then I think he came back to do the version here at Magic Kingdom, but that I am not entirely sure, so don't quote me on that. But to kind of wrap this up, I love the ride. It's, it's something that I do always at the Magic Kingdom. I just wish we had a better version. I really wish we had a better version, like the one at Disneyland. but with the special restraints and everything, I don't know if that could ever happen. I just don't know. So, but let me know what's your favorite part of the ride. I really, it's kind of hard for me to pick out my favorite part of the ride. It's all good except the except the auction scene, but it's all my favorite. There's not another attraction that's as quotable as Pirates, and then of course Haunted Mansion. But Pirates of the Caribbean is the one that people quote the most. There's the dog in the jail with the keys and the three pirates trying to get the keys from him. There's Captain Barbossa. There's just so many. There's so many, especially at Disneyland. There's so much quotable material. But I don't know. I mean, again, as someone who came here all the time, this is the Pirates of the Caribbean I grew up on. I've only been to Disneyland once, and experienced that Pirates of the Caribbean once. And that was back when I was like, I don't know, maybe 9 or something like that. It's, a long time ago. So, I mean, I really want to go back, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But, but this is the Pirates of the Caribbean that I grew up on. It is, which, it was my favorite. And then I watched a video of Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean, and I fell in love with that version. That version is my favorite. I love that version so much. I just wish that we had something like that here at Walt Disney World, even though that I know that it's really not possible to do that. So, but let me know how you feel. What's your favorite version of the ride? What do you like about the ride? What do you not like about the ride? Let me know. Let me know how you feel. But there you are. There's a Pirates of the Caribbean little lesson for you. If you like this video, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to my channel for more content. This video will be out tonight for my Patreon members, and then on Friday it will be available to everyone. So if you want early access, you can sign up to join my Patreon at patreon.com/newswiththedisneydude. Until then, I'll see you guys on the next video, which is probably going to be about the Hall of Presidents, because I really want to talk about that attraction and why it must remain here at the Magic Kingdom. But until then, y'all keep each other safe and healthy. I'll see you tonight for tonight's news show. Until then, y'all keep each other safe and healthy. And I'll turn the camera and say, see you real soon.